I want to talk to you today about loneliness. And it's a very common problem. Lots of young people are suffering from loneliness all the time now. It's a big problem, and there's a lot of commentary about it online about what to do about loneliness. So the first distinction I'd like to make is the difference between being alone and loneliness. So lots of people like to spend time alone. They enjoy being in their own company, and other people hate it. It depends a little bit on your personality type. So some people are natural extroverts, and by extrovert I don't mean loud and noisy, but I mean they get energized by being with people. They just love being with people, and there are lots of people who are like that. They need company and enjoy company and look out for company a lot of the time. Other people who are more introverted, and that is a different description. So when I say introverted, I don't mean necessarily that you're quiet, but that you enjoy spending time alone, particularly in peace and quiet. You might be a very contemplative person who needs space and quiet to think and process things, and that can be really useful in lots of occupations and hobbies even. Some people need peace and quiet, and you need to be alone and away from distractions, particularly people who are very sensitive, because they can be very sensitive to noise and light and distractions, and so this interferes with their thinking processes. It's difficult to think clearly if you're an introvert and you're in a noisy office all day, or you're in customer service where you're having to deal with people face to face and up close. So if you're a natural introvert where you like to spend time alone, and also you feel that it's stressful being in the company of other people all day long, then you need peace and quiet, and you probably enjoy alone time. So if you're in a job where it's very noisy, you're in an office with a lot of people, or as I said, you're in customer service, or you're serving clients and customers all day long, then you probably need some downtime on your own in a quiet, peaceful atmosphere when you've finished work. And that's okay, that's good. And it's okay to be like that. And probably more than half the population are a bit like that, where you just need to decompress from the workday and people being in your face all day, and you need time and space on your own. So don't be afraid of being like that. Don't be ashamed of being like that. There's nothing wrong with you if you feel that you need to be like that. Now, in our culture, particularly the online culture and media and celebrities, we kind of value people who are extroverts a bit more, and people who are always on, who are always jolly and laughing and good fun to be with, and always want to go out and party. But the vast majority of the population are not actually like that. And so we tend to be forgotten about the people who are extroverts and people who need time alone to think and decompress. So you're certainly not in the minority at all. And the people who are extreme extroverts, who are on reality TV shows and who enjoy that and can keep that going for long periods of time, are actually in the minority. They're a smaller group of people. Now, why is that? Well, there's a certain evolutionary process going on. So in our past, it was very important to be quiet and melt into the background. So if you were being pursued by a predator, and I've talked about this before, so you needed to be able to be quiet and hidden, unobserved, so that you could be safe. So the people who were good at that tended to survive. And so that's why most of the population are introverts, and we hide from publicity. We don't like people looking at us because that makes us feel like we're being stalked. And we don't like people in our faces all day long because, again, that's quite confronting. Having people staring at you is, it stimulates something deep in our psyche, in our primeval lizard brain, that there's some danger there when everyone's looking at you. And so this is why public speaking is difficult for a lot of people. It's very natural and it's very normal to feel a bit scared when everybody in the room is looking at you, because in the past that meant you're being stalked by a predator. So don't be ashamed if you feel that public speaking isn't for you or it's difficult. And don't be ashamed if you need downtime on your own or you like your own company. It means that you're a survivor and that your ancestors were survivors. And so you should be proud of that, proud of the fact that your lineage, your ancestors, and all the people who came before you, that made you, that passed on their genetic inheritance to you, were survivors. They knew how to survive and meld into the background, into the long grass of the savannah, to avoid predators or other predatory tribes, people who were attacking your ancestors. So it was very, very important. And we haven't lost that. That's still part of our makeup. So there's a distinction between being alone and enjoying time on your own and feeling lonely. So a lot of extroverts will feel loneliness very acutely. They don't like spending time on their own. So after a short period of time, they'll go looking for people. They'll rap on their neighbour's door or they'll go out into the street to talk to people. And that's okay too. If you're the sort of person that really gets off on having company and talking to other people, that's absolutely fine too. And part of it is about recognising that in yourself. Do you like to be on your own? Do you enjoy time on your own? Or would that be horrifying to you to be on your own and you want to be amongst people all the time? So knowing about your own desires, your own genetic makeup, your own personality is very important in recognising where you fit. Most people are somewhere in the middle. So they like company, they like being with family, they like being with friends, going out. But there comes a point where they need to be on their own. They need peace and quiet, whether to relax or sleep. And so it's a question of where you are on that scale. So here's really extrovert people and here's really introvert people. And most of us are somewhere in between. And again, that's absolutely okay. It's okay to be anywhere on that scale. And we need all types of people. We need extroverts to entertain us, and we need introverts, people who are thinkers and come up with ideas on their own, and innovations and philosophizers. And a lot of these people, if you go back 100 years, they would have spent a lot of time on their own, writing books or thinking, coming up with ideas, painting, creating music. So sometimes you need to be alone to do all these things, to have that razor sharp focus on one idea or one piece of music or one chapter in a book to get it done and to really do it well. So that's aloneness versus loneliness. Now, the other point is quite important, and it applies to Buddha Gautama himself. And so when he was a young monk, he spent a lot of time travelling around Asia, and he had 5 disciples with him, 5 followers, who kept him company, and they looked after him, found food, connected with other people. But during that time, he wasn't very successful. And you'll find a lot of Buddhist followers talk about this period of time And this distinction with Buddha that when he had his 5 followers, he wasn't particularly successful. And he wasn't really getting anywhere. People weren't listening to him. He wasn't attracting a lot of other followers. And so his 5 followers or disciples got fed up and left him. And then he spent a considerable part of his time on his own. And this was when he had a lot of success. So that time that he spent on his own, thinking deeply about things, working out what he really meant, what kind of person he was, so he kind of found himself, what he wanted to do, what his message was. You know, there was a lot of important stuff that he worked through when he was on his own. And then he was able to then take that to other people, and he gained a completely new following of people. So in a way, you can be like Buddha as well. You can take that time when you're on your own to work on yourself. What kind of person really are you? What are your values? What do you think, the things that you think are important? What are your beliefs? What would you like to contribute to the world, or what would you like to achieve? What would you like to have? There's a lot of things that we don't give ourselves enough time to think those things through and really work out who we are. And time alone is a good time to think about that and follow in Buddha's footsteps and actually seek out time on your own, or when you're forced into spending time alone. Perhaps you've moved to a new city, a new job where you haven't made friendships yet, or you've moved into a new apartment or something like that. Don't fret about that time on your own. Actually use it wisely. Make yourself comfortable. Surround yourself with things that really make you happy. Seek out, furnishings, books, music. Put all those things in place. Make your new place, whether it's a workplace or a home, make it the sort of place that you want to be and spend time, so that it comes from the centre of you, from your core, outwards. So work on yourself, work out who you are, surround yourself with things that make you happy and make you feel relaxed. It's going to be your safe space where you can really be yourself. And then once you've decided, you've given yourself time and you've decided what you want to do, what are your values, what you want to achieve, then you can start going out and looking for the kind of people that you want to be with. Now, this is a really important point. And the last few years, I think, have really emphasised the difficulty that we have. So previously, we might have been in the workplace, we're hanging around with people that we don't really like particularly, or we don't have a lot in common with them except that we work in the same office or we do the same job. But having to be at home quite a lot, or maybe working from home now, gives you time to think about, what kind of people do I really want to hang out with? What kind of partner do I really want to have in my life? And so that can then blossom into where you seek friendships. You start looking for people that you have something in common with, people who have the same values and beliefs as you, not just casual acquaintances that you, work-related colleagues, as a lot of people call them. But look out for real friendships. So it's starting with you, you're the centre, and things are blossoming outwards. So you, as an individual, as an entity, as a human, defining your values, defining your space, and then looking for your friendships. Now, there's another thing I want to say about friendship, that a lot of people, younger people, because I'm obviously quite old now, a lot of younger people find friendship difficult. Why is it hard to make friends as adults? You know, when you're a kid, it's usually quite easily. You go into play school or kindy or whatever, and you say to somebody, do you like dinosaurs? I like dinosaurs. Great, let's be friends. It's very simple when you're small. But as an adult, it's a little bit more difficult. And part of that difficulty is because you're kind of thrown together with people rather than understanding yourself and then seeking out people that energize you, that you enjoy being with, that have the same values and interests as you. So when we look at the past, you know, it wasn't, well, a lot of people didn't have the opportunity for friendship so much as you were brought up in a village or a tribe and you hung around with all the people who were in that village or tribe. You didn't actually need to make friends. You know, you already had a bunch of friends. So if you were in a tribe of, say, 200 people, well, there'd be a bunch of people the same age as you as a child. And then similarly as a teenager, there'd be a bunch of people that were around the same age as you and were doing the same things. So you were thrown together and you had that unity of belonging to your tribe. And nobody could take that away from you. It's very rare for people to be thrown out of tribes. You had to do something really bad to be thrown out of a tribe. So you were a member of that tribe from birth to death. And you can see that also in things like clans in Scotland. You know, if you were born into a clan and you took that name, you were a MacDonald or a Campbell, you were in that for life and you were able to wear that tartan and, you know, do certain things that involved that tribe. And it was great. It gave you a great sense of belonging. Of course, there were downsides to that too. You were maybe thrown together with people you didn't like, but at least you didn't have to worry about making friends. The friends were all there. They were either relatives, cousins, brothers and sisters, or people who were in the tribe. And they may have been distantly related to you. So all of that was already in place as soon as you were born and you just fitted into it. So you didn't need to go out and make friends. The friends were already there. And then as society became a bit more organised and stratified, well then you might have made friends through the same career. So, you know, specifically in the professions you find, you know, engineers all hang around, they have society meetings, they have weekends away, conferences and everything where you get to meet people and you make friendships there. So it could be engineers, dentists, surgeons, accountants. So there might be naturally a group that you belong to because you're part of that profession. And often you can find friendships amongst people like that who are in the same job. You face a lot of the same problems. Some people find friendship in people they've known since they were at primary school together. You know, they started school at 5 or 6 and you went through school with the same people. Particularly if you came from a small town or village, you would have developed some very deep friendships along the way with people who were in your class at school. So again, you didn't have to go looking for friends, they were just there. So unfortunately now with people growing up in big cities where there's lots of schools, people are going to school here, there and everywhere, and then also people are moving around a lot, then you don't necessarily have that foundation of friendships that continue right from primary school, junior high, high school, university. You're mixing with lots of different people. And you see this a lot with people who grow up where their parents are in the forces and they move around a lot. That you're moved from school to school, different base to different base, and making long-term friendships can be a bit of a problem. So, you know, that's another difficulty, the way society, you know, each time we develop as humans and our society becomes more specialised and travel becomes easier, then it brings a fresh set of problems. And so Now we've got convenience, we've got flexibility, we've got mobility, but the downside is that you can become quite isolated and you can feel that you don't fit in. And let me tell you, there are many, many people who feel that they don't fit in. It's not just you, it's probably the majority of the human race feels at some stage that they don't fit in, particularly teenagers. So it's kind of normal when you're a teenager to feel that you don't fit in, that you're sort of lost, you're at sea, you're kind of, you don't belong anywhere. So you maybe don't have that tribe, you maybe don't have that clan or that big family or that village that you've lived in your whole life. And so you have to improvise, you have to find your people. And that's really what it's about. So adult friendships, they take longer to develop. You're just not going to be friends with somebody in 6 months and then you're bosom buddies for the rest of your life. It takes a long time to develop real friendship. Yes, you can develop acquaintances, you can go to bars with people and socialise and everything, but the real deep friendships take years. And so you have to be patient and just put down the groundwork, do the groundwork for developing long-term friendships. And that is amongst people that you have something in common with, that have the same values as you. Now, the other thing that develops strong friendships is going through something together. So a lot of people who are in war or in the forces at least, they have a deep sense of belonging because that's encouraged and developed in the army, that your platoon, your regiment is very close to you and that you will be prepared to die to save your friends. So that's what's closely developed and what a lot of people enjoy about the forces, is those close, deep friendships that you develop. So you may have developed or had the opportunity to develop deep friendships among people who you've shared something with. And, some people call it your trauma friends. And I think that's a bit of a negative standpoint, going through something together, whether it's a bad thing or a good thing. It makes you realise what's important in life and what isn't. And you develop a bond with the other people that share that with you because you have shared something that's deep and often emotional, and your friendships have grown out of that. And that's something that it's hard to destroy, that sense of belonging and sharing with other people. So don't be afraid to continue friendships with people that you've shared something with, whether it's you're in a divorce group or you've been in some sort of climate calamity where you've shared things with people, or it could be anything. You've shared a flood or volcano or something like that with other people, and so that helps you develop a bond with people who have come through the same thing that you have. So, as I said, it doesn't have to be trauma. I spent a lot of years as an expat living in the Middle East, and we lived in a small town. There wasn't a lot to do, and we had to make our own entertainment, and so we started a golf club and a rugby club and all sorts of clubs. And during that time, we developed a lot of strong bonds, a lot of strong friendships with people, because we shared hardship together, where there was 2 bars in town and 1 nightclub, but that was it. The good thing was that you could go out on your own and know that you're going to meet your friends, because they'd either be at one bar or the other. And so it was easy to make friends. But there was some hardship to it, so we did share some tricky times when there was things we couldn't get, certain foods you couldn't get, travel was sometimes difficult, people were lonely away from family and friends, and so we all supported each other. But it certainly wasn't a traumatic time. It was a great time, and we all had great fun, and we developed very close friendships, and I'm still in touch with a lot of those people now. So we developed deep friendships through happy times, not traumatic times. And we remember those times fondly. So my final point now I want to talk about is, how do you move forward? How do you look for new friendships, lasting friendships, good friendships? And there are lots of things you can do. So, as I said, the first thing to do is work on yourself, work out what your values are, what are your interests, what would you like to do, what would you like to achieve, and then start looking for people who are like you. Now, it might be online, you might find groups of people online, and that's great, but a lot of people now realise that meeting people online is not the same as meeting face-to-face with people or being in a group. Something happens when you're in the presence of other people, and it's probably hormonal, it's probably electromagnetic fields, it's probably some very deep reactions in our subconscious brain that we enjoy actually being in physical company of other people. And you can see this with pets, that a lot of people derive a lot of comfort from being in the company of pets. So pets have sort of become our substitute family now. You know, we cuddle them, we have a lot of physical contact, we do things with them. And pets are very reliable, especially things like dogs are very emotionally stable. They're always pleased to see us. They don't get angry and in a huff. They enjoy doing things with us, and they're happy to do what we are doing. So pets fulfill a lot of our needs as regards to friendship. But they're not the be-all and the end-all. So once you've decided the sort of people that you want to hang out with, then you have to find out where they hang out. Do they go to certain restaurants or clubs? Is it, if it's a sporting thing or an interest thing, are they, do they have an association or a club that you can go along and join? It could be knitting, it could be painting, pottery, soccer, whatever it is, there's bound to be a group somewhere near you, if it's in a city or somewhere that in your community that you can join. So look out for those people, seek them out. Join up with a music group or a choir or whatever it is you've decided you're interested in. But be patient. It takes time and it takes effort on your part to keep going and get to know other people. So the other thing about friendships is it's not always about you and what you need. It's also about the other people. What are their needs? What are they going to get from you? So sometimes when we're upset or we're feeling a little bit lonely or disconnected, we tend to focus on ourselves. We're focusing on our pain, and it's kind of obsessing. We're obsessing about our own feelings instead of looking outwards. What do these other people need? Listen to them, listen to their stories, how they're doing things, what their values are, all about their family. So give something of yourself and keep giving, even though you might not get anything in return. But you're putting stuff in the bank, and you're going to get the interest later. So keep going to the club or whatever meetings and keep giving to people, listening to people, asking questions about them, showing an interest in them. And then over time, you develop a bond with people, some shared experiences, and then you can, let people know more about you. You can maybe give some of your expertise and skills to people, or your company. People will want to hang out with you because you're a good listener, you show an interest in other people, you're not totally obsessed with yourself and your own problems. So, people want to maybe hang out with you, or you can be useful to other people. So give it time, be patient. Don't be self-centered. Focus outwards rather than inwards. So, I've covered a lot of ground here, and I hope that I've given you some suggestions that you can work with. Those feelings of loneliness are very common, and instead of just focusing on the pain and the sadness that surrounds feeling lonely, is use it to do something, use it to move forward, to develop community, friendships, get in touch with relatives that you maybe haven't seen for a long time, so that you're giving outwards. And of course, karma, or paying it forwards, it'll come back to you in many, many ways, many-fold. So it won't be wasted. And the number of times I've gone out to a party or whatever, and I've met somebody who has either given me some new knowledge or contacts or something. They've given me something. So it's very rare that I go to a party or a gathering and find that it's been a complete waste of time. I'm always on the lookout for new friends, new people like me, or people who know people who might become a friend to me, or might have similar interests, or can give me a bit of knowledge, or like local knowledge, or contacts, or ideas about things. So always be on the lookout for opportunities to meet new people and develop your interaction with the outer world. So it's not just in here, but it's out in the universe as well. So thank you for listening. This has been a long session, but I think we've covered a lot of things, and I hope it's been useful to me. So you can let me know in the comments. Thanks, and we'll talk again soon.